Brought to you by Penguin.
Limitless, the Autobiography, written and read by Tim Peake. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbour, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover. Sarah Frances Brown. To Rebecca, for sailing away from the safe harbour with me. Prologue. Knocking on Heaven's Door. Yuri Malenchenko is one of the most accomplished Russian cosmonauts in history. By December 2015, he is already the veteran of 5 separate missions and has logged just over 641 days in orbit, which means he has spent more time off the planet than almost anybody. He is also the calmest man I have ever met. A quietly spoken, undemonstrative 53-year-old, Yuri is one of those naturally composed people who can reassure you with the smallest gesture, the slightest look. All in all, I could not have hoped for a steadier commander to be strapped in beside on my first voyage into space. Which is why I know it's a bad sign when I glance across at Yuri and notice that, with his adrenaline surging, there's a tremor in his hands. And it had all been going so well. For 6 hours, our tiny Soyuz capsule, blasted into orbit by rocket from Kazakhstan, had travelled through space at 25 times the speed of sound towards our destination, some 400 kilometres from Earth. With just 400 metres to go until contact, the spacecraft, in automated mode, began its standard fly-around of the International Space Station before locking onto the docking port for the final approach. As we slowly closed in from below, I glanced up at the tiny window just above my head. There, gliding by right outside, filling the view, were the huge golden foils of the space station's solar panels. The first time you see something big close to you in space is not a moment you forget, especially when that something is the width of a football pitch, utterly dwarfing the little vehicle you are in. Awed by such a sight, I suddenly felt compelled to share my reaction with Tim Copra, my American colleague on his second trip to space and seated on the other side of Yuri. "Tim," I said eagerly, "there are some bloody great solar panels out there." Tim shot me a look. I had forgotten the hot microphone. It had been switched off for the last few hours, but now, for this critical end phase, it was back on, meaning everything we said was being relayed with crystal clarity to mission control in Russia. Every stupid remark. I winced. Suddenly, though, we all had something more important to occupy us. Creeping softly forward, we were less than 20 metres away now, close enough for me to see the space station's cluttered docking area. There, practically alongside us, beneath its gold umbrella of solar panels, was the Cygnus resupply craft. It had arrived a few days earlier and was carrying, I knew, the suit in which I would, at some point in this mission, if all went to plan, venture out and walk in space. By this point, the camera view of our port had begun to loom large on the monitor in front of Yuri, and unbeknown to me, our orbit had just begun to carry us over the United Kingdom, which would be a nice piece of synchronicity with which to kick off this whole adventure. Me arriving at the entrance to my temporary home for the next 6 months in full view of my permanent one. And then, 17 metres from contact, the master alarm went off and red lights flashed on the console. In truth, this isn't the first time on this journey that we have heard the alarm's loud, intermittent tone and seen the console light up. The alarm has been triggered 3 or 4 times, in fact, and always the same minor problem: abnormal moisture levels in the cabin's atmosphere. It was my simple task in that case to restore the balance by pumping away condensate which had collected in our module. So when the alarm sounds this time, I assume it's the same deal, and sure enough, the monitor confirms this. But something is different. Yuri's demeanour immediately changes. Then I notice that our gentle forward crawl has stopped and that we are backing away from the space station. There's a moment of confusion.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?